Right guys, it's brand new lesson time, and today we're talking about getting the perfect plane to our golf swing to make the game a heck of a lot easier. So let's get into this golf lesson. So if you've watched the channel before guys, and if you haven't already, do remember to hit the subscribe button. You're going to get a free golf lesson every week and get better at golf, so why not do it? You would notice that I enjoy people who swing on plane. If you were to have a lesson with me, I'm quite into that sort of action in a golf swing. I understand that people will move it all over the show, and I'm not going to make everyone swing it exactly the same, but I am under the belief that if we can try and get the club to work very closely on plane all the time, we should see more consistency. So how are we going to do that? And one of the lessons that I gave the other day to James was that we started to talk about the takeaway and a couple of feelings that he would get in the takeaway to help him see that he would get a little bit more on plane. So there's two drills that I'm going to give you today that are going to help you do that. So let's take a look at them right now. Right then, we've got the channel favourite, the old foam noodle out here. Comes in so handy, this thing, if you do get one, by the way. Great for your golf. And what we're going to do, this is to signify what happens with my hands, because what we found with James, when he was starting to take the club away, he was starting to move his hands in all different kinds of directions every time. So what I was saying to him as he started, what he originally had was, if I was just back here a little bit, sometimes you would move it away too much, so we see now the club going out too far away, my arm's getting disconnected from me, or sometimes he would start to really drag his hands in, and again, they don't look very on plane, those swings, i.e. the angle the club should be swinging around my body determined by the angle of the club. They're not really in line with those two things. So the first thing I got James to do, I had this set up for him and I said, right, if you imagined a little bit of this foam noodle, if we thought of this as a bit of a knife's edge, we wouldn't really want to run our hands into the knife because we're going to cut it open. What we'd want to do, if we could do, we're just going to feel that we're going underneath it every time here. So I got James just to stand and have some swings where he felt he was just working his hands pretty closely, but underneath and away in this manner. I also said you can't get away from it too much. You've got to feel like it's a bit of a magnet. You're resisting it, but you feel like you're not just going to go into it here. So straight away, you got this feeling here where his hands, his torso, his body started to feel a little bit more connected in his takeaway, and we weren't seeing that the club was going off in loads of different directions. So we started to get him to hit some shots, and we found that he was getting better, still a little bit off, but we needed another part of the golf swing to help him in the backswing to get this perfect plane. So we were running through. So drill number one, guys, if you can do this, if you can get some setup here, or if you're in a mirror at your house or at the range or wherever it may be, or in the glass on the patio, what you want to do is you're imagining now, if you looked at your hands, you wouldn't want to see them moving off in loads of different directions. They're going to work in an arc here, the hand path will work in an arc on the way back, but what we want to see is that it's not moving off it. So just let them naturally just start to go back and start to come in ever so slightly as you start to get up on this hand path here. Okay, so the second part of the drill, guys, as you can see here, I've got my ball to target line and I've got another cane here. When we found that James was taking it away too much up here, or we found that he was wrapping it round here too much, again, it wasn't working on that plane. So what I talked to him was saying about, imagine if you had a bit of a torch in the butt of your golf club here. When we've got now, you're working along the knife's edge a little bit more, what I want you to do then is on the second stage of your backswing, could you imagine that you shine the light up the ball to target line, the extension of it backwards here, and then imagine it's running up back towards parallel to the ball to target line. He said, okay, and obviously when he did this the first few times in his old swing, we'd see it's not in direction, it's not working up the angles we'd want it to do. So we coupled it with the working up the knife's edge, then pointing it. Now as we see here, it's working up and working up and working up. It starts to shine down that cane. And as I get up to the top, we'd see that I'm nicely on plane. My body is turning in the right manner. I'm not rocking, moving off in any funky direction. I can start to see that I get this real consistent backswing. And then what I started to get him to try, can you just copy that on the way down, but can you just make it a little bit more inside for me? So we had good takeaway, shines it up, drops it back under, and straight away we were getting a really good looking golf swing, and he started to find the middle of the face more consistently, get the face squared up, and started to hit some really good golf shots. So if we're looking for that perfect backswing, what we've got to do is, number one, not get disconnected in the takeaway, let the arms go off in a different direction and not do anything with the body. Then in section number two, we've got to imagine the torch shining out of the butt of the club, and again feel that it's working up these lines here. We don't again want to shine the butt out in front of me. I don't want it shining behind me, or I don't want it shining directly at the ground for the long time. On my toe line, I want to see I'm working it up these angles there. If we can do that, what we should then see as we hit some shots is that we start to get a pretty flawless backswing, that perfect backswing, and see that we can get pretty consistent throughout the shot. So let's give it a go. I'm going to move along the knife's edge, shine the torch, and in from there. Nice, a tiny bit of a pull, but a really solid crisp contact, and I've got what I wanted there. The backswing felt fantastic to me. I just need to sort my downswing out. So if you're someone who's struggling with that backswing and feel that your arms are going off in all kinds of directions, give those two drills a go there. We want to work along the knife's edge, and then we want to shine the torch in the right direction. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson this week. If you have, like I said earlier, hit the subscribe button down below, turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss any more future lessons, and I'll see you in another one.